Buddha's Sangh and wisdom and experience, respected for their wisdom and experience. But if there is a Buddhist monk who is a Thera and he is he has a lot of experience with regards to the kind of principles of Buddhism, or has been practicing Buddhism for a really long time, so that person was called Mahathera, right? So it is true. This and this is correct, and this they are actually very simple terms. यहाँ पे एक और term आप याद रख लीजिएगा इस बार, भूमि. Why? Because clearly they have already asked about what? They have already asked about Bodhisattva. They have asked about Paramitas, but now this time they might just ask about Bhumi. What is Bhumi? Bhumi is 10 different stages. 10 different stages in which one kind of gets onto that path of Bodhisattva to become a Bodhisattva, right? Yes. So it is 3 and 4 only. Yes. So now let us just see what is this. So let us just see which of these pairs are correctly matched. Yes. So Ojiana is a Chalcolithic site in Rajasthan. Yes, it is actually an important Chalcolithic site, and यहाँ पे it is associated with Ahar culture, Ahar or Banas culture, right? Very, very important with respect to its pottery. So you should know about Ahar culture, you should know about Kayat culture, Malwa culture, and Jorwe culture as well. I'm not going to get into the details of all of those cultures, but they are very, very important with respect to the Chalcolithic sites. Okay, and then you have Arikmedu from Kerala, ancient trading port. So no, it is actually not in Kerala; it is in Tamil Nadu. Also, if it is very important to understand, it was a sorry, it is in Puducherry, and यहाँ पे it is in Puducherry to be more precise, right? यहाँ पे if you look at it, so it is very important to understand here that it was a major sea trading port. It also refers to Sangam age as well, and also it is very important to understand here. Excuse me. It is also very important to understand here that Roman trade was also carried out on this particular fort, on this particular port, right? And then you have Kalsi. And then you have Kalsi. So Kalsi is the only Ashokan rock edict, major Ashokan rock edict from North India, right? And it is from Uttarakhand, and it is also very important. Why? Because it has also been asked in a PYQ. And then Hirebengal from Karnataka. It is also a major burial site, one of the largest burial sites actually, one of the largest burial sites from Karnataka, right? So it is very important that this time you make sure that you are doing the Ashokan edicts as well, or for that matter, major megalithic sites, because last year it was only in 2024 that they had also asked about megalithic sites, one of the megalithic sites, right? So yes, only 3. Yes. So it is this. From it should have been Puducherry, but clearly they have mentioned it wrong here. So yes, only 3. Next one, with respect to the Mahajanpadas of ancient India, the capital of which of the Mahajanpadas lies south of the river Narmada? So clearly it is it is Ashmaka. It is Ashmaka. Why? Because clearly if you look at it, so Ashmaka is the only actually Mahajanpad which lies south to the Vindhyas. So yes, it is relatively much more easier. And यहाँ पे if you look at it, so it is very important that you should also know about so the northernmost would be Kamboj, the easternmost would be Ang, and the southernmost would be Ashmak, right? And what was the capital? Capital would be Pratishthan, right? Yes. So the capitals of Mahajanpadas, they have also changed over a period of time. Even with regard to Magad also, you can just imagine. Sometimes it was Rajgriha, sometimes it was Patliputra. So yes, in different sources, you may find different capitals. So please be very, very careful about it. So yes, so it is Ashmak, right? This is how one sees it. All right. So yes, Peter Mundi. Consider the following travelers. How many of them traveled during the reign of Mughal dynasty in India? So let us see. Peter Mundi. Yes, during the reign of Shah Jahan. During the reign of Shah Jahan, right? And then you have Al-Masudi. And then you have Al-Masudi. So Al-Masudi visited Masudi visited the Gurjar Pratiharas. Why? Because clearly there is this one reference that he gives, Al-Juzra, that he calls to the rulers of Gurjar Pratiharas, right? So clearly, again, not during Mughal period. And Ibn Battuta, yes, clearly he was also deputed as the Qazi by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So yes, during the Tughlaqs, right? And then you have Duarte Barbosa and Domingo Pace. These two plus Domingo Pace. क्या इनके बारे में खासियत है? That they visited during the reign of Krishnadev Rai. They visited during the reign of Krishnadev Rai in Vijayanagar Empire. So it is actually only one. It is only one, which is Peter Mundi, which is the correct option here, right? So yes, this is precisely how one has seen through it. Believe you me when I say this, that ancient Indian history, or for that matter, medieval Indian history, or for that matter, Indian art and culture, they are the themes, if you are able to kind of do the themes of these subjects, and especially adhering to the PYQs को रटना नहीं है, but जो भी option आते हैं PYQs में, उन options के बारे में थोड़ी बहुत knowledge रख लीजिए. Just prepare your own notes. You have plenty of time even now. And trust me when I say this, art and culture, it is an easy hanging fruit, okay, low hanging fruit. If you are able to kind of circumvent the themes with regard to the different options that are given in PYQs, you will be able to fare really well with respect to the questions that are asked in Indian art and culture as well. There is a lot of smoke and mirrors as well with regard to Indian art and culture, or for that matter, ancient and medieval Indian history. कितना भी पढ़ ले, आता कहीं और से, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. Friends who tell you that these kind of things, they don't really want a good rank for you. Stay away from them. Just focus on the kind of themes that have been covered in the PYQs, and you should be good about ancient and medieval Indian history, along with Indian art and culture, and in this case, as we saw, with respect to modern Indian history as well. Thank you very much. Wishing you all the very best. Please take good care of yourselves.
Okay, so let us see economic questions of the simulator test. Question number 28. With reference to geopolitical disruptions in the Red Sea region, consider the following statements. Okay, look at the statement 1. It has negatively impacted India's maritime trade. Geopolitical disruptions in the Red Sea region. That has negatively impacted India's maritime trade. Red Sea is located, you can say, just look at the map, it is in the tri-junction of Indian Ocean, Suez Canal and Mediterranean Sea. and the Houthi rebel attacks on the ships that has been the cause of concern lately. So this first statement is correct. And the second statement is it has pushed up logistics cost for Indian exporters because of the same problem, Houthi rebel attacks. The logistic cost has increased. And that you can say is also the factor responsible for negatively impacting India's maritime trade. So both the statements are correct. And the second statement also explains the first. So that is why the answer A would be the correct answer. Question number 32. With reference to the fiscal policy in Indian economy, consider the following statements. Statement 1, in India, fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP has steadily decreasing since the financial year 2020-21. Yes, so if you just look at the data of fiscal deficit as percentage of GDP, that touched around 9.2% in the wake of pandemic, but has consistently decreased after that time. Okay, so it was 5.6% in the last fiscal year, and the revised estimates of the current fiscal suggest it to be 4.8%. So that has been steadily decreasing. The second statement, that central government's capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP has been steadily declining since the financial year 2021. That means from the time of pandemic. This statement is incorrect. Okay, so you have seen the government constantly trying to increase the capital expenditure to increase the productivity, the level of infrastructure development, and that is why you see that there is uptick from 2.1, 2.2% to 2.5% in the current fiscal year. Okay, if you consider the last fiscal year, it was around 2.7%. So there has been increase in the capital expenditure and not the decline, and that is why the second statement is incorrect. Now consider this is why the second statement is in the capital expenditure and not the decline, and that is why the second statement is incorrect. Now consider this question number 33. With reference to digital payment index, consider the following statements. Digital payment index, something that was introduced by RBI in the year 2018. Just look at the statements. It was run by National Payment Corporation of India. That makes it incorrect because that was from RBI. That was by RBI. The base year for DPI is 2015. The base year is not 2015. Base year is 2018, month of March. And that makes the second statement also incorrect. Now the third statement, payment enablers, payment performance, and consumer centricity are some of the parameters of this index. Now just look at the index here, and you will have 5 metrics. 3 are mentioned here. And along with that, there are 2 other: payment infrastructure from supply side, payment infrastructure from demand side. These are the 2 additional metrics. In total, 5 metrics are there. And that is why the 3 mentioned metrics are actually the correct parameters. So that makes the third statement correct. So now you can choose option B, that is 3 only, is the correct answer. Question number 42. In the context of Indian economy, consider the following statements. Between the financial year 2000 and 2024, the average tariff rates on dutiable items in India have decreased by more than half. So here the statement is covering the period, last 24 years. Okay, 2000 to 2024. And here it is talking about average tariff rates. So since 1991, when we adopted LPG reforms, the approach of India has been to become to increase its share in global trade. Okay, and for that, it has gone to meet various kinds of requirements by WTO. Okay, in timely manner, and that included the reduction in the tariff rates. Okay, so the statement that is the average tariff rates on dutiable items have decreased by more than half. That is correct because if you see the decrease, that happened from around 50% to around 18%. Okay, so it has decreased more than half, from around 49% to 18%, around 18%. So that is a decline by more than half, and that makes the first statement correct. Now look at the second statement. Higher tariff policy by a country always hurts trade competitiveness in the short run. Now this is a problematic statement. Why? Because higher tariff policy may not hurt the trade competitiveness. Rather, higher tariff policy have been adopted by countries around the globe to protect their domestic industry so that their domestic industry could become more competitive with the global one. Okay, so yes, higher tariff policy implemented in timely manner, in a strategic manner, may increase the competitiveness, and that makes the statement incorrect, as it says that it always hurts the trade competitiveness. So statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is incorrect, and that is why the answer would be C. Consider the following statements about Dharti Aba Janjatiya Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan, recently launched by the government of India. Okay, so this is actually a scheme-based question based on facts. So consider the first statement that the scheme aims to develop enabling infrastructure and enhance socioeconomic conditions in the villages where the population of scheduled tribe is more than 1,000. Now this is regarding one of detailed information of the scheme, and that is incorrect because the criteria of 1,000 is actually factually incorrect. Okay, it is 500, or it may be more than 50%, or it can also be 50 in case of aspirational district program. So that makes the first statement incorrect. The second is the Ministry of Tribal Affairs will serve as a nodal agency for the scheme. That makes the statement correct. One of the key initiatives under the scheme is promotion of tribal homestays to boost local tourism and enhance livelihood. So this darshan scheme वगैरह के साथ इसको connect किया गया, integrate किया गया. That makes the third statement also correct. So first statement incorrect, second correct, third correct, and that is why second and third only, that is the C option, is the correct option. 49. With reference to the objectives of Navchetna, National Framework for Early Childhood Stimulation and Early Childhood Care and Education (EECE) in India, which of the following statements are correct? Now, these are actually the 2 initiatives of Ministry of Women and Child Development. Let's look at the statement to find out which one is correct or incorrect. First, Navchetna is designed to provide early stimulation for children from birth to 3 years, whereas EECE aims to prepare children aged 3 to 6 years for the formal schooling. Yes, that is the division between these 2 initiatives, 0 to 3 and 3 to 6. That makes the first statement correct. The second is Navchetna is primarily implemented through Anganwadi centers, while EECE is delivered primarily through primary schools. No, that is incorrect because 0 to 6 years, you see that Anganwadi centers are actually the main centers for providing any kind of services to children. And ECCE programs are not actually delivered by primary schools. They are implemented mainly by Anganwadi centers. So that makes the second statement incorrect. Both, third statement, just look at it. Both Navchetna and ECCE frameworks are aligned with the national education policy. Very much aligned with the national education policy. That is the correct statement, as both initiatives are emphasizing on the importance of early childhood. Okay, early childhood care. the proper development. So that has been envisaged in the national education policy also. So that makes the third statement correct. So first is correct, second incorrect, and third is correct. That makes option B the correct option, 1 and 3 only. Okay, now look at the question number 50. With reference to recently launched PM e-drive scheme, consider the following statement. It aims to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles, develop essential charging infrastructure, and establish a robust EV manufacturing ecosystem across the country. That has been the major objective of PM e-drive. Okay, the correct statement. Second, the scheme provides incentives only to those EVs that are used exclusively for commercial purposes. Now, that does not make any sense because this is for the larger adoption of EV vehicles. There is no reason why private owners would be excluded. Okay, so that is factually correct also, that private owners are also eligible for the scheme. Okay, so that is why first statement is correct, the second statement is incorrect. Third, the scheme has been launched by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. There is a catch here. It is not by Renewable Energy, it is by Ministry of Heavy Industry. Okay, so that also makes the third statement incorrect. A specific allocation of fund has been made for the deployment of e-ambulance under the scheme. That is one factually correct information because this particular clause, or you can say this particular point, is actually added in the scheme, and that makes the fourth statement correct because there is a specific allocation for the deployment of various types of EVs, okay, including ambulances. So first statement was correct, the second was incorrect, third was also incorrect, fourth was correct, and that is why 1 and 4 are the correct statements. Answer D is the correct answer. Option D is the correct answer. In economy, demographic dividend, very easy question. Demographic dividend, you know that it is a bulge in the working age population and the reduction in the number of dependents. So let's look at option A, large scale replacement of manual work with automation in the economy. No. That may be caused by the technological unemployment. The second is increasing the proportion of workers related to non-workers in the population. Basically, that is demographic dividend, bulge in the working age population. Okay. So option B is the correct answer. You don't have to look at C and D. Very easy question. With reference to insurance sector in India, consider the following statements. Okay, again, a question which is based on the knowledge of insurance sector. Premiums paid for life insurance are exempted from GST. Premiums paid for life insurance are not exempted. Rather, they have been kept under the uppermost tax slab, that is 18% under GST. So not exempted. That makes this first statement incorrect. In India, the penetration of life insurance is more as compared to general insurance. That is one of the features of insurance market in India, that it is basically life insurance penetration compared to general insurance. Okay, so that makes the second statement correct. The first is incorrect, the second is correct. In Union Budget 2025, the FDI limit in the insurance sector has been increased from 26 to 49%. No, the limit was actually 74%. What made news in the Union Budget 2025 is its increase to 100%. So the correct fact is that it has increased from 74 to 100%. That makes the third statement also incorrect. So only second statement is correct, and that is why the answer is B, option 2 only. Consider the following statements. Repair and maintenance of machinery. Just look at the question first. How many of the above activities are included under gross fixed capital formation? So gross fixed capital formation kya hai? It is all related to increase of physical stock of capital, the fixed capital that increases the productivity, production, okay, creation of assets in the economy. So that is gross fixed capital formation. Repair and maintenance of a machine and plant is going to increase the productivity. So maintenance charge is also considered as part of gross fixed capital formation as it helps in enhancing the productivity. So that is the correct option, correct statement. Buying a fridge for household use. Buying a fridge or any consumer durable for household use is not an investment. Okay, it is a consumption at the private level, and it is not going to increase the productivity of the economy. And that is why it is incorrect. Leveling and fencing of agricultural land. That is the correct option because Leveling and fencing also increases the productivity. Okay, it also increases, you can see, the value of land, and that is why it is a correct option. Purchase of sugarcane for sugar production by a factory owner, that is also not correct, because here sugar cane for sugar production is actually a kind of intermediate consumption. Okay, so because it is intermediate consumption, it is not going to be counted as something which is directly enhancing the productivity in the economy. So first is correct, second is incorrect, third is correct, fourth is also incorrect. So how many of the above activities are included in GFCF? I would say only 2, and B thus becomes the answer. Question number 84. Consider the following statements. An Indian software company exporting IT services. Just look at the question first. How many of the above transactions are part of current account in India's balance of payment? So current account में क्या होता है? Merchandise, trade in merchandise, and then trade in individuals. Within trade in individuals, you include trade in services and current transfers. Okay, so this is what we know as current account. So Indian software company exporting IT services to a US-based client and receiving payments in dollars. That is the case of trade in individuals, very much part of current account. An Indian student paying tuition fees to university in the United Kingdom. That again is part of the current account, as it is trade in individuals. An Indian company receives commercial loans from International Financial Corporation. That is the case of external commercial borrowings, which is part of capital account because it is related to asset or liability. In this case, it is a liability. So third is not part of current account; it is part of capital account. An Indian family receiving remittances from relative working abroad. That is something which is part of current transfer. So very much part of current account. 1, 2, and 4 are the correct options. How many of the transactions are current account? So there are 3, and that is why option C, that is only 3, is the correct answer. Look at question number 85. You have to match activity and associated sector. Tata Steel's production and sale of steel alloys for the automotive industry. Associated sector, real sector. What do we mean by real sector? The real sector is a sector whereby actual production and consumption takes place. Tata Steel's production and sale of steel will belong to the real sector because it is actual production of steel and consumption of production of steel and consumption of steel. So very much part of a real sector. Okay, what is financial sector? Financial sector exists to support the transactions in the real sector. So financial sector includes financial institutions. Okay, financial instruments. That is financial sector. Then the second statement, Ministry of Defense procurement of fighter jets and consumption of steel and consumption of production of steel and consumption of steel. So very much part of real sector. Okay, what is financial sector? Financial sector exists to support the transactions in the real sector. So financial sector includes financial institutions. Okay, financial instruments. That is financial sector. Then the second statement, Ministry of Defense procurement of fighter jets from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. General government sector. Very much part of general government sector because general government sector exists to deliver public services or to create economic assets for the public use. Okay, so health, education, defense, all that is part of general government sector. And that is why second is also a correct match. Third, Life Insurance Corporation of India's investment in the initial public offerings of a private sector company. Financial sector. That also is correct because what financial sector consists of is the financial institutions and the financial instruments delivering financial services. This kind of investment in initial public offer, which is actually one of the financial instrument, is very much a financial service. And that is why it is included in the financial sector. Okay, so it is a financial activity. All 3 pairs are correctly matched, and that is why option C is the correct answer. That is all 3. Now look at question number 87. With reference to the various instruments of financial market, consider the following state pairs. So instrument को market से associate करना है. Government bond, money market. Now, what is the difference between money market and capital market? Because you have to differentiate between money market and capital market and associated instruments. Money market provides you working capital. Okay. So working capital कैसी होगी? कुछ ऐसे instruments के तहत जिसका maturity period short term का होगा, that is less than 1 year. While capital market, the word capital in economy is always related to change in the asset or liability. So capital market provides capital for the expansion of business. Okay. Creation of assets. So they are usually long-term instruments having long-term maturity. So government bond belongs to capital market, not the money market. Okay. Commercial paper has a maturity period of maximum 1 year, and that is why it will belong to money market, not capital market. So both of these two, 1 and 2, are incorrectly matched. Participatory notes. Okay. So this is regarding the stocks or bonds instruments having long-term maturity. So government bond belongs to capital market, not the money market. Okay. Commercial paper has a maturity period of maximum 1 year, and that is why it will belong to money market, not capital market. So both of these two, 1 and 2, are incorrectly matched. Participatory notes. Okay, so this is regarding the stocks or bonds, okay, issued by the intermediary for the investor who is not actually registered with SEBI. So they are backed by stocks or bonds. Again, something that belongs to capital market. So third is correct. Cash management bills. Again, this is a short-term instrument issued by RBI on the behalf of the government to meet, you can say, the requirement of the cash flow. Okay, so cash flow mismatch अगर होता है, so cash management bills RBI issue करती है. That is also short-term. So in that sense, it was also a money market instrument. So first and second are incorrectly matched, while third and fourth are correctly matched. If the question is how many pairs are correctly matched, only 2 pairs are correctly matched, and that is why option B is the correct option. Question number 89. With reference to advanced pricing agreements frequently mentioned in the news, consider the following statements. Okay, even if it is not mentioned in the news, you cover that as part of your foundation class when you study about direct taxes. Okay, you deal with topics like GAR, double taxation avoidance agreement, okay, and many such topics whereby there is a discussion on advanced pricing agreements. Let's consider the statements here. These are agreements between taxpayer and tax authorities to determine transfer pricing methodologies for future cross-border transactions. Okay, that means the transactions that happen between two associated companies, and that is how it is defined. So it is correct. In India, APEs do not have a fixed validity period and can remain in force indefinitely based on the mutual agreement between the taxpayer and tax authority. No, they have a fixed validity period of up to 5 years. That is the fact, and that makes the second statement incorrect. Okay, so first is correct, the second is incorrect. Which of the following are correct? So I would say one only, and that makes option A the correct option. Consider the following statements regarding the derivatives. Which are the financial instruments
Now, this is from all of the countries, right? Whoever has got a space technology, the company is ASTA.
Right now, if you consider by this, just see here formation of Rift Valley. what they are asking, diastrophism. So rift valley means they are created with the fault. Can I say this is the example of diastrophism process? Rift valley creation, block mountain creation, this is the part of the faulting, and this is also the part of diastrophism. Weathering, answer is no, because weathering is in the exogenetic side and not in diastrophic process. So weathering of rock, no. Erosion, of course, no. Occurrence of landslide. Now say here, landslide is mass movement. Okay, so because of this, it is classified under the mass movement. So mass movement is not the part of diastrophism, rather it is the part of the other side. Therefore, this is also not the answer. So how many statement I think it is asking correct they are? So the one statement is the correct. The one is formation of rift valleys. So only one statement is true. Next question is, yes, it is about distribution of atmospheric pressure across hemisphere. Consider the following statement. In the northern hemisphere, pressure belt
used in various markets for the trading and risk management. So what are the derivatives? Instruments used in the forward market. Why they are called derivatives? Because they derive their value from an underlying asset. So that is the basic thing. Now consider the first statement. They derive their value from an underlying asset. That is the very definition of derivatives, such as stocks, commodities, or currencies. Very much correct. Then they can only be traded on regulated exchanges and cannot be traded privately between two parties. No. So for example, you have various kinds of derivatives: forwards, futures, options, swaps. Among these four, if I consider, only futures are exchange traded. Standardized contracts, forward contracts do not require any exchange. So they can happen, or a forward contract can be resorted to by private parties. And that is why the second statement is incorrect. Future contract is a type of derivative that provides the buyer the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell an asset at a predetermined price. No, future contract does not provide the right Actually, future contract ये नहीं करता है. This is the definition of options. Options provide right and not the obligation. And that is why the third statement is also incorrect. So I would say only one statement is correct. That is one only. And that is why option A is the correct option. Okay. Now, question number 100. If the Reserve Bank of India decides to tax, option A is the correct option. Okay. Now, question number 100. If the Reserve Bank of India decides to tighten liquidity coverage ratio norms, which one of the following will be its likely implications? So, what is liquidity coverage? Liquidity coverage is nothing but the ratio of high quality liquid assets of the bank divided by net cash flow that is happening within 30 days. Okay. So, that is the definition of liquidity coverage ratio. But the ratio of high quality liquid assets of the bank divided by net cash flow that is happening within 30 days. Okay. So that is the definition of liquidity coverage ratio. If you consider the metric here, then it is all about bank being able to meet its short-term obligations of cash. So just consider the question again, that if it tightens LCR norms, then what will happen? So tightening LCR norms would mean that ratio is to be increased. That is why numerator is to be increased. And in the numerator, you have high quality liquid assets. So the bank may require to maintain more high quality liquid assets. And that generally includes government securities that are also having low interest rate. And that is why higher liquidity coverage ratio, agar cash flow ko hum constant माने जो बैंक की तरफ से हो रहा है, if we consider cash flow constant, which is happening from the side of bank, then it has to necessarily increase the highly liquid assets at its disposal, which generally is government security. Okay, and you know that government security do not yield much interest. Now consider the statements, which of the following is likely implication. So banks will experience an increase in short-term credit growth. No, that actually opposite might be the case. Okay, because banks have to maintain more of high liquid assets with them. Net interest margin for banks will reduce in the short term. Now, net interest margins will reduce. Okay, most likely is to reduce in the short term because the government securities, which now banks will be required to hold more because of the tightening of the LCR ratio, LCR, is going to give them lower returns. So net interest margin in that case, generally, you can say definitely will decrease. Okay, monetary policy transmission will become more effective. No, that is not connected with monetary policy transmission. The cost of borrowing for banks will decrease. Again, that is not connected at all. So option B is the correct option. If you consider option A, quite opposite would be the case. Okay, most likely. So B option is the answer here. Okay, so this was all about economic questions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to Simulator Zero Test Discussion by Forum IAS. I hope you found the test good enough. And of course, now we are starting March with a bang. And now the pre-mode should be on. If not fully, at least good part of you should now prepare for prelims, right? So I'll be taking up the polity and international relation portion. Before starting with the discussion, you should know that what should be the sources? You have been studying standard books, all right. But one additional source, if you feel that you have done enough in other subjects also, I would suggest that you can refer to Mastering Indian Polity. If you have some pictorial memory, if you have some multiple revision of certain books, that is all right. But if you require some additional material, this will also be helpful in mains also. It has compilation of PYQs integrated within it. And it has certain provision from the constitution also, so you do not have to open a book parallelly, right? Then we have some additional facts and figures, curiosity boxes that will add value. All right, about international relation, I think any compilation would do. About the static portion, of course, you should be focused on the current affairs also. Right, let's start with the discussion. All right, the first question talks about Article 142. Article 142 specifically says that it is the enforcement of any decree or order. Yes, and it gives a special power, extraordinary power to the Supreme Court to pass any decree or order to do complete justice. Yes, that is the keyword that has been mentioned in the constitution. It is open-ended also, and it has been under fire also at times that it is part of judicial overreach, etc. Yes, but judiciary has time and again utilized Article 142 as a tool for judicial review also, judicial activism also, and of course at times maybe judicial overreach. Now the last time, prominent time, we think Article 142 was utilized was in Chandigarh mayor polls. So who are very well versed with the current affairs, they would directly know the answer. Yes, but at the same time you should go through the other options as well, right? We know that there are different jurisdictions and powers of the Supreme Court, from original jurisdiction to writ jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, then advisory jurisdiction, then extraordinary jurisdictions also related to interpretation under Article 145. Then we have rule making under Article 145, interpretation under 147, rule making under 145, court of record under 129, transfer of judges 139A. I don't want you to write down everything. Just a revision. Yes, let's have a look at the statements one by one. First one talks about Supreme Court providing an opinion to the president. When we are talking about opinion, that means it is an advisory jurisdiction. That is under Article 143. This is not extraordinary power under 142. Specific, yes. Supreme Court transfers a case. When we are talking about transferring of cases, we know that this was provided by Article 139A, which was added by 42nd Amendment and was also amended by 44th. Yes, it is talking about extraordinary jurisdiction, not under the 142. So this again is incorrect. Supreme Court decides to re-examine. When it is talking about re-examining, that is revisory jurisdiction. Yes, under Article 137, Supreme Court amend. Supreme Court transfers a case. When we are talking about transferring of cases, we know that this was provided by Article 139A, which was added by 42nd Amendment and was also amended by 44th. Yes, it is talking about extraordinary jurisdiction, not under the 142. So this again is incorrect. Supreme Court decides to re-examine. When it is talking about re-examining, that is revisory jurisdiction. Yes, under Article 137 specifically, it can revise its own judgments also to prevent any miscarriage of justice. Yes, we have review petition also, you have curative petition also, all that you have studied. All right, so this is also incorrect. We have D as our right answer. Yes, moving forward. Then specific question. People also are at times confused between fifth schedule and sixth schedule, quite overlapping provisions also. But one thing is clear, that where are they applicable? The first provision, if you read the bare act, first provision of the fifth schedule itself says that it is not applicable to so and so states. And what are those states? The states which are applicable in case of sixth schedule. What are those states? Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. 1, 2, 3, 4. Specifically written in the constitution. Yes, so these are the other two. And we are talking about not including these states. So we know that A would be the right answer here. Specific question. Okay, then we are talking about events and who was the prime minister at that time. So at times UPSC has asked such questions also in case of subjects like polity and also in international relation. Yes, we have also included some portions of such questions in IR also. Goa was liberated from Portuguese rule. That was in 1961 specifically. No confusion. There was the prime minister that time was Mr. Nehru, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. No confusion about it. Yes. Mizoram Peace Accord. It was signed in just before the statehood was given, 1986. It talked about more autonomy and ultimately it was given the statehood in 87. And the leader of MNF, Mizo National Front, Lal Denga, he became the chief minister after the full statehood. And anyway, we are aware that 1986, Miss Indira Gandhi was no more. Yes, so it was that time the prime minister was Rajiv Gandhi. So this is a incorrect, straightforward. UPSPA, no need to debate about it. 1958, again, we had Mr. Nehru that time. So this is again incorrect. Mandal Commission, set up in 19, it was talking about setting up. 79, under the prime ministership of Morarji Desai, and it gave it reports in 1980. Yes, make sure that you are curious about these things also. That what is MNF? When was this signed is all right, but what was the provision? When was statehood given, etc. Then Mandal Commission was there, everyone is aware. But who was Mr. Mandal? Yes, he was the former chief minister of Bihar. It gave its report in 1980, ultimately created a lot of political mobilization. All right, 1 and 4 are correct, only 2. B would be the right answer here. Yes, no doubts. Then we are talking about the president of India is bound to give assent. Yes, the question is here. Okay, B, political mobilization. All right, 1 and 4 are correct, only 2. B would be the right answer here. Yes, no doubts. Then we are talking right answer here. Yes, no doubts. Then we are talking about the president of India is bound to give assent. Yes, the question is here. Okay, which of the above was part of the original constitution, it is asking. Yes, enacted on this day and came into force on this date. When we are talking about the president bound to give constitutional bill, the assent, that was given by 24th constitutional amendment, no doubt about it. Since then he has been obliged. It has been mandatory for him to give assent. He cannot return, he cannot reject. So this was not the part of original constitution. Then total number of ministers, there was a cap put by the 91st amendment, article 75 1A, and 91st constitutional amendment put a cap. Yes, so this was also if put by a constitutional amendment, naturally it was not part of the constitution. All right. President of India specify the tribes and tribal communities which shall be deemed to be STs. When we are talking about designating certain tribes of SCs or STs, that has been provided in the constitution, original constitution also. STs under article 342. Specifically, clause 1 talks about that president can notify certain tribes, races, etc. as STs. Clause 2 talks about that parliament can edit that list also. Yes, to read more about it, yes, it was part of the original constitution. Same person can be appointed as governor to two or more states. Again, this was added after 7th constitutional amendment in 1956. Yes, state reorganization happened. So it was a flexibility which was provided under article 153. All right, so this was added later. Yes, not part of the original constitution. Only 3 is the part of the original constitution. Yes, so B would be the right answer here, no doubts about it. Then we are talking about the position of powers of governor. Yes, let's have a look at these statements one by one. Promulgate, it is talking about the discretionary power. We know that the discretionary power of of a governor is anyway more than the discretionary power of the president. The discretionary power is itself is discretion. Okay, power to promulgate an ordinance. We answer here. Yes, no doubt. Original constitution. Then, so it was a flexibility which was provided under Article 153. All right. So this was added later. Yes, not part of the original constitution. Only 3 is the answer here. Yes, no doubt. Original constitution.
नमस्कार, आप देख रहे हैं द बिहार ऑफ में हूं आदेश। 18 दिसंबर से गद्दीबाग ने लगातार धरना जारी है और आपको बता दें कि इस धरना की गूंज जो है संसद में भी गूंजी है और अभी बिहार में बजट सत्र चल रहा है। लगातार री एग्जाम को लेकर चाहे आरजेडी हो, कांग्रेस हो या फिर लेफ्ट पार्टियां हो, विधानसभा के अंदर और बाहर लगातार प्रश्न उठा रही है कि आखिर री एग्जाम क्यों नहीं कराया जा रहा, आखिर सरकार छात्रों से संवाद क्यों नहीं कर रही। इसके साथ साथ बता दें कि पटना हाईकोर्ट में भी डबल बेंच में मामला जा चुका है, परसों सुनवाई होने वाली है। रमांशु सर हैं ऐसे चेहरे जो कि 18 दिसंबर से लेकर आज तक गद्दीबाग से जुड़े रहे हैं, 20 दिन नहीं थे क्योंकि बेउल चल गए थे आंदोलन के चलते। सर सही बात करेंगे सर, विधानसभा में मुद्दा उठ रहा है। विधानसभा में आज कांग्रेस के जो विधायक हैं उन लोगों ने भी नारेबाजी किया, कल तेजस्वी यादव उठाए, परसों राबड़ी ने भी उठाई थी, वामपंथी पार्टियों के द्वारा भी सदन में मामला उठाया गया। सरकार क्यों नहीं सुन रही है सर, और 2.5 महीने हो गए। आप लोगों को कहा जाए तो सर एक तरह से कान पर जू तक नहीं रहना, आप लोग का आवाज वहां तक पहुंच नहीं पा रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है।
आदेश जी, आप इस सत्याग्रह से पहले से जुड़े हुए हैं और साथ ही साथ मैं और आपके दर्शकों को बता दूं, कई बार आपके बारे में लोग गलत लिखते हैं। आदेश जी वो पहले व्यक्ति थे जो नॉमिनेशन के मुद्दे पे जो चेयरमैन से मिलने गए और आदेश जी वो पहले व्यक्ति थे जिनसे जब भी मैं कुछ कहता था कि सर पता कि आदेश जी तो पता करके आते थे। तो ये आप लोग के पक्ष में रहते हैं, लेकिन ये है कि चूंकि पत्रकारिता की अपनी मर्यादा होती है कि उसको निष्पक्ष रहना चाहिए, तो दोनों पक्ष रखते हैं। अब एक बात बोलिए, धरना नहीं सत्याग्रह है। दूसरी चीज आपने कहा कि जो है हर जगह पहुंच चुका है और सरकार पे के कान पे जू नहीं लग रहा। मैं पहले आपसे कहता था कि अभी तक सूचना हमारी नीतीश कुमार जी तक नहीं पहुंची। अब ये भ्रम लोगों को दूर हो गया और हम लोग भी भ्रम दूर हो गया कि अभी नीतीश कुमार जी तक ये बात सूचना पहुंची कि नहीं। एक होता है ना कि हमारे कहा नहीं पहुंची हम ये मान रहे थे, लेकिन अब ये मान के उनके पास सूचना पहुंच गई। यानी अब कोई भी ऐसा व्यक्ति नहीं है कि जब वो जनता की अदालत में खड़ा रहेगा और जनता से प्रश्न पूछेगी तो अभी वो ये नहीं कह सकते कि सब जानकारी नहीं। तो ये जनता की अदालत, ये छात्रों की अदालत है और जनता की अदालत जो सितंबर अक्टूबर में लगने वाली पूरे बिहार में। और साहब आप आएंगे तो हर छात्र का के माता पिता गार्जियन के रिश्तेदार आपसे यही प्रश्न पूछेंगे कि जब हमारे बच्चे लाठियां खा रहे थे, जब हमारे बच्चे चाहेंगे, आप शुरू से कहते थे कि नीतीश बाबू को जब भी पता चलेगा कोई ना कोई पॉजिटिव एक्शन लेंगे सर। अब तो पता चल गया, उनके सामने तेजस्वी यादव बोल रहे हैं, लेफ्ट पार्टियां बोल रही है, राबड़ी देवी बोल रही है, संसद में सदन में जो है विधानसभा में नारेबाजी हो रहा है और एक सीएम को 2.5 महीने नहीं पता चलेगा, सब वही बगल में हो रहा है सर। अब तो सर क्लियर कट हो गया, नीतीश जी भी जो है सर सीरियस क्यों नहीं ले रहे हैं सर। बस आपकी यही मैं बात बता रहा हूं कि हम लोग अभी तक ऐसा ही मान रहे थे कि साहब उनके आसपास कुछ अधिकारियों का घेरा है, उनके आसपास कुछ नेताओं का घेरा है और वो फिल्टर्स न्यूज भेजते हैं। लेकिन अब वो फिल्टर्स न्यूज वाली कहानी विधानसभा में जाके खत्म हो। अब सबको आंखों के सामने आ गया कि साहब ये वो मुख्यमंत्री हैं जो शायद पहले दिन से ही जानते थे लेकिन उन्होंने कभी एक्शन नहीं लिया। वो हो सकता है किसी के लाडले हो, लेकिन अब जो हमको सम्मान दिया करते थे अब वो शायद हमको लाडले नहीं रहे। मैंने कई बार मंचों पे कहा कि अगर मां पढ़ी लिखी नहीं होती तभी मां होती, लेकिन एक मां ने मुद्दा उठाया विधान परिषद, भले उनको बहुत जानकारी नहीं होती किसी, लेकिन ये तो पढ़े लिखे पिता, उनको पिता की संज्ञा दी थी, पढ़े लिखे पिता थे, लेकिन अभी तक इतना हम लोग मतलब इंडिया का कोई भी मुख्यमंत्री देखिए, उत्तर प्रदेश में कैसा हुआ, मध्य प्रदेश में कैसा हुआ, कर्नाटक में कैसा हुआ, कम से कम सीख लेनी चाहिए। सब इन राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री 2 दिन में मुद्दा सुन लिया और आज हमको 81 दिन होने वाला है और कोई नहीं सुन रहा है, कोई आया तक नहीं। जनता मतलब ये जनता ये अधिकारियों की बात नहीं मानते और अधिकारी जब भी आए तो हम लोग गिरफ्तार करने के लिए आए और जब देखिए संख्या ज्यादा है तो कहते हैं हम इसलिए आए हुए हैं कि आपकी सरकार से बात कराते हैं। अरे तुम इतने छोटे पद पे उतना बड़ा पद तुम्हें खुद नहीं जा पाते, तुम्हारी बात कराओगे? हम लोग प्रशासन के बारे में जानते हैं, हमारे बहुत सारे प्रशासन के लोग हैं कि तुम किस पद पे बैठे हो, उसके पद पे बैठे हो। ठीक, एक पुलिस वाला की चलिए आप एसपी पर बात करवाते हैं, उसी तरह के छोटे पद पे चलो मुख्य सचिव से हमारी बात कराते हैं, मुख्य सचिव देखिए कभी ऑफिस में कभी एंट्री किया आपने, तो वो इस तरह के लोग काम करते थे। तो अब नीतीश कुमार के प्रति लोगों का एक सम्मान था छात्रों का, वो तो लगभग समाप्त होने की बात है और इसका असर भी दिखाई देगा। तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि अब हमें उनसे कोई आशा करनी थी, हम आशा छोड़ चुके हैं और जब बात पहुंची कोर्ट में तो अब उनसे कैसी आशा?
कोर्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, कोर्ट को लेकर सर डबल बेंच में मामला गया और डबल बेंच में ले जाने का सर जो मांग जो है वो सरकार के वकील के द्वारा किया गया। आप भी थे वहां पर, हम भी थे उस दिन मौजूद। सर ऐसा माना जा रहा है कि सरकार अपने सेफ ग्राउंड में आप लोग को ले जाकर आप लोग को हराना चाहती है, क्या कहेंगे सर?
बीपीएससी को पहले दिन से ही भ्रम है कि उसका एक कोई सेफ ग्राउंड है और उसी ग्राउंड को दिखाने की कोशिश कर रही है और पहले दिन से हम लोग हर सेफ ग्राउंड को दिखा रहे हैं। यहाँ पे टीचरों के साथ मीटिंग उसका सेफ ग्राउंड था। मैं आपका एक वीडियो दिखा जिसमें नॉमिनेशन बात चेयरमैन साहब ने कही उन्होंने अपनी बात में 6 तारीख को मुकर जाना, वो भी उनका सेफ ग्राउंड था। पेपर आउट होने के बाद जब लड़का लेके गया तो कोई चार्ज को फाड़ सकता है, वो भी उनका सेफ ग्राउंड था और सबने फाड़ के दिखा दिया। 13 का क्वेश्चन गलत होना मान सकते हैं सेफ ग्राउंड था, लेकिन 4 तारीख में भी 4 क्वेश्चन गलत होना ये सेफ ग्राउंड है। ये दोनों चर्चा करते हैं। बापू परीक्षा परिषद एशिया का सबसे बड़ा जो है परिषद बना है जिसमें लगभग 20,000 बच्चों के एग्जामिनेशन की बात की। जब 13 तारीख को पेपर हुआ और 13 को पेपर जो है वहां सारी अव्यवस्था फैलाई गई, सरकार द्वारा फैलाई गई। क्यों फैलाई गई? अगर नहीं फैलाई गई होती तो प्रशासन और बीएसएसबी के अधिकारियों पे केस हुआ होता, जेल में होते। किसी भी कोई केस नहीं हुआ, एफआईआर नहीं हुआ। एफआईआर उस मनीष लड़के पे हुआ जो वहां से प्रमाण लाके जाके चेयरमैन को दिया, उसको इन्होंने जो बेवड़ी मिला और मेरे आने से पहले चलाया था। अब वो आगे डर के मारे नहीं था और पूरे केस में उसके 1.5 लाख रुपए खर्च हुए, ये भी सरकार को देना होगा। तो ये बीपीएससी बार सेफ ग्राउंड करती है, उसको लगता है कि डबल बेंच का सेफ ग्राउंड है, तो देख लीजिए सेफ ग्राउंड किसका है, उसका है कि हम लोग का।
क्या लगता है डबल बेंच पे सर सुनवाई सर परसों को लेकर क्या आपको सर?
परसों देखिए दरअसल क्या है कि भारतीय समाज जो है वर्तमान में बहुत व्यवस्थाओं को देख रहा है। कहने को हम आजाद हुए, हम हिस्ट्री के स्टूडेंट कहने को हम आजाद हुए, लेकिन वास्तव में जो है सत्ता परिवर्तित नहीं हुई, सत्ता का ट्रांसफर हुआ। क्यों? क्योंकि सारे के सारे नियम कानून वही थे जो अंग्रेजों के। इसीलिए आज भी कहा जाता है कि अंग्रेज तो चले गए लेकिन उन्हीं की तरह रंग उनका जो है भारतीयों की तरह था, लेकिन है मानसिकता वही। जिस प्रकार हम लोग लाठियां चलाई गई आदेश जी, जिसमें केस में बेउल जल गया हम अमन और खुशबू, वो केस ही नहीं जिसने को भेजा जेल। बस एक ही आ रहा था कि साहब क्या कहा पुलिस वाले ने सबके सामने कि साहब ये लोग जो है 2 जजों के घर के सामने बैठे थे, बीपीएससी 2 जजों का घर का सामना है और जो है लोअर कोर्ट के जज साहब ने कुछ सुना हमको बेउल भेज दिया। अगर वहां सीसी कैमरा देखिएगा, यानी जैसे अभियोग का सिस्टम चलता था कि तुम किसी अंग्रेज अधिकारी, किसी अंग्रेज न्यायाधीश, किसी अंग्रेज नेता के खिलाफ बोलोगे तो कोई सुनवाई नहीं जेल के अंदर। यही हम लोग के साथ हुआ। तो आज भी कानून वही है, लेकिन बीपीएससी भूल रहा है कि हम लोकतंत्र है और ये बिहार की जनता लोकतंत्र और लाठी तंत्र दोनों में विश्वास करती है। सन 1990 में लाठी तंत्र चलता था और लोकतंत्र है, लेकिन हम लोग बीपीएससी के छात्र तो लाठी तंत्र में विश्वास करते, लोकतंत्र में विश्वास करते हैं और वो लोग लाठी तंत्र में विश्वास करके हम लोग को हर जगह मारे। तो अगर बीपीएससी भुलाव में है जो सेफ ग्राउंड है, 7 को क्या रिजल्ट आएगा, 7 को रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा, बहुत सारी चीजें सुनवाई है, लेकिन हम लोग पहले से डिमांड कम से कम स्टे लगा दी। अगर स्टे नहीं लगता है तो प्रश्न चिन्ह हम पे नहीं उठेगा, प्रश्न चिन्ह और लोगों पे उठने लगेगा कि बच्चे जो है 2 महीने से डेट दिया जा रहा है और एक छोटा सा स्टे नहीं दिया गया, चीजों को सुना नहीं गया। हम लोग तो हमेशा देखते सुना नहीं जा रहा चीजों। अरे साहब आप अपने कमरे में नहीं सुनेंगे तो जनता की अदालत में जनता सुनाएगी और छात्र सुनाएंगे और उनके गार्जियन सुनाएंगे। सुनना तो पड़ेगा, सुन के रिजल्ट देना पड़ेगा। हम लोग कभी ये मांग नहीं की कि साहब हम सही यहाँ गलत हैं, तथ्य ला के दिए कि साहब ये 13 वाला पेपर 4 वाला पेपर है, हमने तथ्य ला के दिया कि सारे क्वेश्चन गलत है, हमने तथ्य ला के दिया कि जो 13 तारीख में पेपर है उसके बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन 4 में कुछ काफी मिलती जुलती है, ये हम तथ्य ला के दिया और सब लोग जानते हैं। बीपीएससी को एक्सेप्ट भी कर रही है कि हां सर क्वेश्चन गलत हुआ था, लेकिन क्या आप आगे पहले से पूछना नहीं थे?
आपके तथ्यों पर सर मुझे कोई एतराज नहीं है और मुझे विश्वास भी है, पहले दिन से मैं सुन रहा हूं और ऐसे तथ्य जिसको लेकर हम लोग बहुत पहले से खबर भी चलाते हैं कि आप सही से क्वेश्चन क्यों नहीं चेक कर पाते हैं। लेकिन सर आप जब जेल में थे तो यहाँ 3 दिन बहुत सारे तथ्यों की बात की गई थी, मुख्यमंत्री से बात होने की बात कही गई थी, 2 जिलों के ट्रेजरी से क्वेश्चन जो है उसका प्रूफ की बात कहा गया था, बहुत सारे आरोप प्रत्यारोप सारे दावे किए गए थे सोशल मीडिया के सामने। सर वो सबूत आप लोग लगा रहे हैं कि नहीं?
देखिए वो सबूत हमारे नहीं थे, कभी शिक्षा सत्याग्रह के बजाय
सर यही पॉइंट जो है लगा
बिल्कुल आप यहाँ पे आए हुए हैं, इसका मतलब आप शिक्षा सत्याग्रह के हुए हैं। बहुत सारे लोग यहाँ पे आए, टीचर्स हैं, उन्होंने बिल्कुल बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, रिस्पेक्ट है उनके लिए। हाँ उन्होंने अगर ये बात कही है और मुझे विश्वास है कि क्योंकि उनकी पहुंच शुरू से काफी बढ़ रही है और अच्छे नेताओं के साथ रहे।
उसका मतलब झूठ बोलना होता है सर?
नहीं झूठ नहीं, मैं झूठ नहीं
मुख्यमंत्री से बात की है वो?
देखिए मैं ये नहीं कह सकता बात की नहीं, लेकिन मुझे मालूम है कि उनके पास कहीं ना कहीं प्रमाण होगा
तो सामने क्यों मिला है?
तो लाइन
के द्वारा खंडन भी कर दिया, डीएम के द्वारा खंडन कर
देखिए
दिया।
साहब हम जब सड़क पे थे और हम अपनी बात कह रहे थे तो खंडन किया को जेल भेज दिया। खंडन कौन सा शब्द होता है? क्या ये राजा लेकर जाइए, ये लेकर जाओ, ये जांच करके हम कह रहे हैं, हम कह दिए कि फलाने चोर है तो आप खंडन करके लेकर जाइए, क्या मतलब होगा? आपको लगता है तो वास्तव में हमें जेल भेजिए,
तो सबूत ये देना सर।
लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि ये हुआ
कौन से केस में सर दिया? अब ये सर नहीं हो जाएगा सर, कुछ देना पड़ता है।
और जब आपके मंच से कि आपके जैसे माध्यम से मानिए जो है मैं सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आपका जो भी सबूत है, अब तो विधानसभा चल रहा है, विधान परिषद चल रहा है और डब्ल्यूएच की पहुंच गई, तो उन सारे सबूतों को सबके सामने लाइए ताकि हम लोग इस शिक्षा सत्याग्रह को समाप्त करके अपनी विजय को सुनिश्चित कर सकें।
ये एग्जाम को लेकर क्या कहेंगे सर? पहले दिन वाला आज भी डायलॉग है
आज भी डायलॉग नहीं है, साहब विश्वास है 101% बने 101% जीतेंगे तो हम ही लोग, चाहे सिंगल बेंच में जीते, चाहे डबल बेंच में जीते, चाहे सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जीते और चाहे विधानसभा में जीतेंगे हम लोग। एग्जाम होगा सर, होगा तो होगा
सर। कोर्ट में भी सर आप कुछ लोगों को बोल रहे थे सर कि ये एग्जाम होगा ही रहेगा किसी भी हालत में।
आप जिसको सुनाना था ना, कई लोग आज मैं विधानसभा में कल एक वीडियो बनाया था तो उसमें बताया था कि विधानसभा के जितने सदस्य हमारे मुद्दे को उठाए, बहुत सारे लोग प्रश्न उठा था कि आप विधानसभा सुनते हैं क्या साहब? राबड़ी देवी ने उठाया, मैं उसको कभी नहीं मिला, तेजस्वी यहाँ आए तो उनसे मुलाकात हुई थी और उस व्यक्ति ने 2 लेटर लिखा था, उन्होंने उठाया, संदीप चौधरी ने उठाया और आज कांग्रेस के सारे विधायकों ने भी उठाया। और जो व्यक्ति मिले थे हमसे कोर्ट में वो सरकार का वीडियो देखते होंगे, उनको भी आप बहुत सारे लोगों के सामने कहा कि साहब जाके वो क्या प्रवृत्ति अधिकार से बोल दीजिएगा कि उनका एक छोटा सा नाचित बंदा बोला है कि काम होगा तो होगा। और रमांसु से अगर बिना अपराध के जेल गए हैं तो जिन लोगों ने अपराध किया है उनको भी हम जेल भेजेंगे तो भेजेंगे।
तो रमांसु सर बता दे, भले ही हम लोग कितना भी टफ क्वेश्चन क्यों ना पूछे इनसे, लेकिन 18 दिसंबर से यही एक व्यक्ति है जो कि गद्दी बाग में सत्याग्रह को जीवंत बनाए हुए हैं और लगातार पहले दिन से ही अपने एक मुद्दे पर जो है वो खड़े हैं। और आज भी इनका कहना है, साफ कहना है कि एग्जाम तो हम लेकर रहेंगे। और यहाँ पर जो है बता दें आपको, शाम का समय, रात का समय हो गया है, रात होता है रोज डेली, जब से आंदोलन चल रहा है, जब से सत्याग्रह चल रहा है उस समय से ही। तो चलिए फिलहाल इस वीडियो में इतना ही। वीडियो पसंद आए लाइक करें, हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर लें। धन्यवाद।
नमस्कार, टाइम्स ऑफ स्वागत में आप सबका स्वागत है। मैं हूं संतोष सिंह और इस वक्त हम गर्दनी बाग हैं, जिसके गर्दन का प्रभाव आज सदन में भी देखने को मिला। सदन की शुरुआत के दिनों से ही देखने को मिला है। शुरुआत राबड़ी देवी ने की जब इस मुद्दा को उठाई, फिर कल तेजस्वी ने उठाया और आज कांग्रेस इस मुद्दे को लेकर सरकार को घेरती नजर आई। लेकिन एक सवाल बार बार सदस्यों के द्वारा हम मीडिया वालों से भी पूछ रहे हैं, जो सवाल कहीं कहीं आज हम धरना पर शुरुआती दिनों से बैठे हुए श्रीमान से भी जानना चाहेंगे। ये सवाल ये आज हुआ है कि इसी गर्दनी बाग में खान साहब आए थे प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए और उस प्रोटेस्ट के दौरान कई एविडेंस की बात उन्होंने कही, पैसे के खेल का बात उन्होंने बड़ी जोरदार तरीके से किया, फिर कई एविडेंस की बात की, पीआईएल फाइल करने की बात की, तमाम ऐसी चीजें उन्होंने चर्चा की जिसकी चर्चा आज विधानसभा में भी। हालांकि मैंने वो खबर चलाया है, लेकिन अब इन्हीं से पूछ लेते हैं हिमांशु जी से, बड़ी बड़ी बातें हुई, लेकिन वाकई में कोई एविडेंस को लेकर हमारे पास बहुत साक्ष्य है। अब उस साक्ष्य को लेकर हम आएंगे, हम केंद्र सरकार को सूचित जानकारी दे रहे हैं जितना उन्होंने दिया इसी गर्दनी बाग से। लेकिन आज हम लोग भी चाह रहे हैं कि वो चीजें सामने आए, क्योंकि विधानसभा का सत्र चल रहा है और ऐसे मौके पर मीडिया वाले भी चाहते हैं कि सरकार किसी तरीके से गिरे, तो लेकिन खान खामोश है।
निश्चित रूप से खान सर आए थे और बच्चों के बारे में बहुत अच्छा सोचते हैं और हमेशा बच्चों के सपोर्ट के लिए बातें करते हैं। इस सत्याग्रह में बहुत अच्छा सपोर्ट रहा और देखिए निश्चित रूप से उनकी पहुंच हम लोग से बेहतर रही है। तो अगर उनके पास सबूत है वो होगा तभी बोलेंगे, वैसे नहीं बोल सकते। हमें विश्वास है कि जरूर इसमें विधानसभा का भी और विधान परिषद दोनों का जो चल रहा है सत्र, उसमें वो अपनी बातों को रखेंगे ताकि जो हम लोग का ये सत्याग्रह इतने दिनों तक चल रहा है कभी ना कभी तक जो है सकारात्मक रिजल्ट के साथ समाप्त हो। तो मैं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से भी उनसे जरूर रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि इन सारी चीज़ों को आगे बढ़ाएं और ये अच्छा मौका भी है ताकि उनके पास पहुंच जाएगा और सक्षम व्यक्ति भी हैं, तो निश्चित रूप से जो है हम लोग एक अच्छा सकारात्मक रिजल्ट मिल जाएगा, बुलाना चाहिए सारे।
ये हम लोग भी कह रहे हैं कि भाई खान आपको चीजें लानी चाहिए, क्योंकि बार बार नवादा और गया वाली बात तो फिर डीएम ने वो उसके बाद भी कह रहे थे कई तरह के हमारे पास एविडेंस है, पैसे का लेन देन हुआ है इसकी सूचना भी हमारे पास है। बहुत सारे सीधे सीधे तौर पर बीपीएससी चेयरमैन को भी कहीं कहीं वो कटघरे में ला रहे हैं, मतलब एकदम हाई किट की स्थिति में है, एकदम आर पार की लड़ाई के मूड में है। और हमें लगता है कि ये बेहतर मौका है उस चीज़ों को पब्लिक डोमेन में लाने को लेकर। लेकिन और उस बीच उन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम के दौरान कहा था कि हम गुप्त तरीके से चीजें करते हैं, किसी को पता था क्या कि 3 दिन हम यहाँ प्रदर्शन करेंगे, लेकिन हम लोग किया। अब आगे भी कुछ हम लोग करने जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उस 3 दिनों के बाद कुछ दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है।
नहीं, हमें सोचा उनकी माता की तरफ ठीक है, दिल्ली गए हुए हैं वो, इसलिए यहाँ पे नहीं थे, लेकिन बोले थे 4 तारीख के बाद बढ़ाएंगे जरूर मिलने के लिए। तो हमें विश्वास है कि देखिए इस सत्याग्रह में हमने सभी टीचरों को आग्रह किया, बहुत सारे टीचर आए जो जैसा सहयोग हो सकता है उन्होंने सहयोग किया। बहुत सारे लोग सक्षम नहीं थे, वापस चले गए, लेकिन अगर दिखाई तो भारत के स्तर पर उनका नाम सबसे ज़्यादा नाम है। बहुत सारे लोग चाहते भी हैं, बच्चे उनको चाहते भी हैं और हम लोग भी चाहते हैं कि उनके पास जो भी इस तरह के सबूत हो वो निश्चित रूप से इसको पेश करना चाहिए और सबके सामने लाना चाहिए, ताकि जो भ्रष्टाचार इस बिहार में चारों फैला हुआ है आखिर उसका समाप्ति होना चाहिए। अगर हम नहीं कर सकते तो दूसरा तीसरा कर सकता है, तो जिसके पास भी जितना सबूत हो और वो जितना सक्षम व्यक्ति है सबूत को ला सकते हैं। और उन्होंने अगर कोई ऐसी बात कही होगी तो उसके पीछे कुछ ना कुछ जरूर रहा हो, मुझे विश्वास है कि जरूर उसको लेके और जल्दी से जल्दी प्रस्तुत करेंगे ताकि इस समस्या और बाकी और भी भ्रष्टाचार की समस्या का समाधान।
अच्छा, उन्होंने कहा था कि पीआईएल फाइल हमने किया है और आप कोर्ट में लगातार इस केस को कहीं कहीं देखें, एक पीआईएल के मामले में ही दोनों को एक साथ कर दिया गया। तो क्या उन्होंने कोई हाईकोर्ट में पीआईएल फाइल करने की जानकारी या उनकी तरफ से कोई एडवोकेट वगैरह के माध्यम से कोई पीआईएल की कोई जानकारी आपको है क्या?
देखिए हम तो शुरू से ही जब से मैंने प्रशांत सेठा वाला केस के तब से हम लगातार कोर्ट में जा रहे हैं और कोर्ट की पूरी प्रोसीडिंग को भी ध्यान से देख रहे हैं, सबसे मिलते जुलते हैं। और वर्तमान में बताऊं तो चाहे गीतानंद हो, चाहे आशीष आनंद हो, चाहे हम लोग का 3 केस हो, सारे के सारे केस जितने भी लोग हैं एक दूसरे से बातचीत करते रहते हैं। लेकिन जहाँ तक उनके पीआईएल की बात है तो उसके बारे में मुझे कोई जानकारी नहीं मिली है और ना ही सूचना मिला है कि उन्होंने कोई पीआईएल दाखिल किया, कोई वकील भी अनुसार नहीं मिला। इवन की केस के दौरान कई बार मैं कोर्ट में भी रहा, कोर्ट में भी कोई तरह का वकील हमें दिखा नहीं। अगर होगा तो जो हमें सूचना देनी चाहिए ताकि हम उनसे मिले, अपनी बातों को रखें और उन्होंने जो किया तो उसको देखें ताकि फिर दोबारा कोई पीआईएल ना आए, उस पीआईएल की सुनवाई हो और जल्दी से जल्दी जो है एक अंतिम रिजल्ट की तरफ हो जाए।
मतलब एक उम्मीद जगह था खान के आने के बाद अलग तरीके के स्टूडेंट भी हुए, माहौल बनाने की भी कोशिश की। पहली बार नॉर्मलाइजेशन को लेकर उन्होंने कहा कि हम जब मैदान में उतरते हैं तो रिजल्ट लेके जाते हैं। इस बार भी कुछ छात्रों का आश्वासन इसी तरीके से दिया, लेकिन कई आश्वासन पर खड़े नहीं उतर रहे हैं। छात्रों के मन स्थिति पर इस बात को लेकर क्या चल रहा है?
देखिए बहुत सारे छात्र दुखी भी थे, लेकिन क्योंकि लंबा समय है और उन्होंने कहा था 4 के बाद में आऊँगा, तो हमें विश्वास है कि 7 को सुनवाई होने वाली है और एक अच्छी सुनवाई होगी। अब उसमें जो पीआईएल भी है, दोनों एक साथ सुने जाएंगे और भी डिवीजन बेंच में उसको जो है चीफ जस्टिस साहब सुन रहे हैं। तो हमें विश्वास है कि वो अगर प्रूफ उनके पास सारे उपलब्ध जरूर होंगे, वरना ऐसा कह नहीं सकते। और उन प्रूफों के साथ आज कल या परसों पहुंचे तो हम लोग का सारा का सारा जो काम बहुत आसान हो जाएगा। हम लोग जो लड़ रहे हैं टेक्निकल मुद्दे पर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम प्रूफ इसलिए नहीं इकट्ठा कर सकते कि हमारे पास सीसीटीवी कैमरे का एक्सेस नहीं है। हम बहुत सारी इसलिए नहीं दे सकते कि जो है हम मोबाइल लेके नहीं गए थे, छात्रों ने बोला। लेकिन हम लोग का जो मुद्दा है उसके लिए उस सबूतों की आवश्यकता नहीं थी। हम तो टेक्निकल मुद्दे पर लड़ रहे हैं, 13 और 4 के मुद्दे पे हम लड़ रहे हैं, क्वेश्चन गलत के मुद्दे पे कितने सारे क्वेश्चन गलत हैं, जिसके प्रमाण के किताब सारी उपलब्ध हैं। उनके द्वारा बिहार सरकार की किताबें उपलब्ध हैं, सीआईडी किताब उपलब्ध है, भारत सरकार का गजट उपलब्ध है, बिहार सरकार का गजट उपलब्ध है। तो हमने उसके आधार पर सारे क्वेश्चन के गलत को एकदम प्रमाणित रूप से दिया हुआ है और उनके आंसर भी दिया है। और इसमें एक मुद्दा बार उठा है कि साहब जो है बच्चों ने जब मार्कशीट क्या नाम है क्वेश्चन के आंसर आ गए तो इसमें उन्होंने जो है कोई अपना वो नहीं दिया, डेट नहीं दिया, या आपने कोई जानकारी नहीं दी। एक बात मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ कि अगर कहीं गड्ढा खोद दिया गया, गड्ढा खुदा हुआ है और उस गड्ढे में कोई गिर जाए तो क्या हमको पहले आगे बताना होता है कि साहब गड्ढा खुदा था, यहाँ गिर सकते थे, आप कैसे गिर गए, आपने हमको पहले सूचना क्यों नहीं दी? ये कौन सा सत्य होता है भाई? कोर्ट को भी कई लोग मजाक बना रखें और बीपीएससी को मैं कहीं देखा है कि बीपीएससी कैसी संस्था हो गई है जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कुछ समझती नहीं, हाई कोर्ट को कुछ समझती नहीं, ये तो राष्ट्रपति और राज्यपाल को भी कुछ नहीं समझते। उन लोगों को चिट्ठी भेजा हुआ है और देखिए राज्यपाल साहब के साथ हम गए थे, आंदोलन समाप्त करने के बाद एक लेटर क्या हुआ था, तो राज्यपाल साहब भी मैं बहुत इज्जत करता हूँ। तो जब छात्रों के मुद्दे उन्होंने कहा था कि पहले ये काम कराइए और फिर हम आपके मुद्दे पर, और आज तक मुद्दे पर डिस्कस नहीं हुआ। इधर हमको कष्ट हुआ कि जिस राज्यपाल को मैं 2800 राज्यों के राज्यपाल नंबर 1 पे रखता हूँ, वो व्यक्ति जो है छात्रों के हित में बिहार आने में पता नहीं क्या, जो व्यक्ति केरला में रहकर सबसे बेस्ट जो है गवर्नर थे बिहार में आती है, क्या मुझे तुमसे भी उम्मीद है। तो ये जो तथ्य बार बार जो है ना कोर्ट में बीपीएससी रख रही है कि साहब पहले बताना चाहिए, आपने मौका कितना दे दिया भाई, उसमें भी आप लिखे हुए कोई अन्य माध्यम नहीं, सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्या ऑनलाइन, और ऑनलाइन भी आपने करता है तो सर उसको क्या स्क्रीनशॉट लेके रखता है बार बार भेजा, उसका कोई उधर से कोई भी उनसे पूछ लेना चाहिए कि आप जो भी आपको आंसर का दिया गया तो आपने उसे बैंक कुछ दिया, कुछ नहीं दिया पहले दिन से, और आज तक सर बीपीएससी मनमानी कर रही है, और इनको ये लग रहा है कि जो हम चाहे वो कर लेंगे, इस बुलाव में बीपीएससी ना रहे। ये कई लोग ना दिमाग में भुलावा होता है साहब हम ही सर्वशक्तिमान है, आज तक दुनिया में सर्वशक्तिमान जो है वो ऊपर ही रहता है, जमीन पर नहीं कोई व्यक्ति सर्वशक्तिमान होता है, जो व्यक्ति सर्वशक्तिमान बनने की कोशिश किया तो ऊपर पहुंच गया, अगर आप ऊपर हैं और वहां से बोलेंगे सर्वशक्तिमान को तो मान लेंगे, जमीन पे रह के जन्म लेके कोई व्यक्ति कहना सर्वशक्तिमान को मानने को तैयार नहीं।
चलिए, लेकिन खान के खामोशी पर सवाल उठना लाजिमी है, और ये सवाल इसलिए उठ रहा है कि वो बड़े बड़े दावे कर रहे थे और बड़ी बड़ी बातें कह रहे थे, और कहीं कहीं छात्रों की उम्मीद जगी थी कि खान के पास कुछ न कुछ ऐसा मटेरियल है, कुछ न कुछ ऐसा एविडेंस है जिस एविडेंस के सहारे बीपीएससी को टर्न डाउन, मतलब बीपीएससी अपने निर्णय को बदलने को मजबूर हो सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी तक कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं हुआ है, और इस वजह से थोड़ी मायूसी है, और उसी मायूसी को लेकर आज हम गर्दनी बाग में हिमांशु जी लगातार आंदोलन से जुड़े हुए हैं, उनसे भी उनकी बात हम जानना चाहते थे, लेकिन चलते चलते आखिरी में हम इतना ही कहेंगे कि खान साहब जो भी आपके पास है वो लेके तो आइए, अब किस बात का इंतजार हो रहा है, सदन चल रहा है और सदन में कुछ नई बात आएगी तो नए तरीके से चीजें भी उठेगी, हम लोग के पास भी हम वो मटेरियल नहीं है, तो लगातार हम लोग खबरों में इसको बनाए रखे, इसलिए कुछ मटेरियल दीजिए और नए तरीके से चीजों को रखने की कोशिश हम लोग भी कर रहे हैं और आप भी करिए। चलिए इस कार्यक्रम को यही खत्म करते हैं, लेकिन मुद्दा बीपीएससी रहेगा ही रहेगा, क्योंकि इस मुद्दे के सहारे बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जो बिहार के लोग भी और बिहार के बाहर जो बिहारी रह रहे हैं वो भी कम से कम अब ये समझने लगे हैं कि नीतीश के सुशासन के काल में हुआ क्या है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से अधिकारी लोग कर रहे हैं, जो व्यवहार कर रहे हैं, उस व्यवहार से भी हम लोग समझने लगे हैं कि पढ़े लिखे लोगों की संख्या ब्यूरोक्रेसी में, लोअर ब्यूरोक्रेसी में बहुत कम लोग आए हैं, तो स्वाभाविक तौर पर परख भी रहे हैं लोग, ऐसे में सवाल उठ रहा है तो लोग उसको हाथों हाथ ले रहे हैं, इसलिए खान साहब आप एविडेंस दीजिए, हम आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं।
रहे हैं और कोर्ट की पूरी
करते हैं, लेकिन मुद्दा बीपीएससी
we know that this is not a discretionary power. Rather, it is based on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is not a discretionary power specifically. And it is also talking about provided by the Constitution. No situational discretion, but provided by the Constitution. Be very specific here. Power to dismiss COM to prove the when it fails to prove the confidence in the legislature. So this is a discretion, yes, but it is a situational discretion. Yes, not provided by the Constitution, not provided explicitly in the Constitution. So this again is incorrect. This is why it is important to refer to the bare time and again. It will make your life easier in specific these type of questions. All right. Then we are talking about power to commute. Yes, commuting a sentence, etc. Again on the aid and advice of the Council of Minister, not his duty, not the President duty even. So again, this is not the correct option. Power to reserve a bill. We know that under Article 200 and under Article 201, Governor has been empowered to reserve any state bill for the consideration of the President, and he has been mandated under Article 200 that if at all there is a change in the jurisdiction of a High Court, he must do that. That is the only case where he is obliged to do that. It is mandatory for him to reserve that bill for the reconsideration of the President. Otherwise, he has his discretion also. So D is the right option. This is the discretion provided by the Constitution itself. Specific. All right, D is the right answer. Moving ahead, questions. Reserve that bill for the reconsideration of the it will power with the stated the original Constitution. Yes, so B would be the right answer here, no doubts about it. Then we are talking about the position of powers of governor. Yes, let's have a look at the statements one by one. Promulgate. It is talking about the discretionary power. We know that the discretionary power of a governor is anyway more than the discretionary power of the president. The discretionary power is itself is discretion. Okay, power to promulgate an ordinance. We know that this is not a discretionary power. Rather, it is based on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is not a discretionary power specifically. And it is also talking about provided by the Constitution. No situational discretion, but provided by the Constitution. Be very specific here. Power to dismiss COM to prove the when it fails to prove the confidence in the legislature. By effort muting a sentence options a change specific. All right, D is the right answer. Moving ahead, question under right to be D is the right option. This is the discretion provided by the Constitution itself. Specific. All right, D is the right answer. Moving ahead, question 6. Right to be free from the adverse effect of climate change. We know that this was recently pronounced by the Supreme Court as a part of the fundamental right under Ranjit Singh case. M. Ranjit Singh case 2024. Specific, this type of question, right to privacy, has been repeated a couple of times. And because it violates the rights under Article 14 and 21, right to equality and right to live a dignified life. Yes, I hope none of you have got it incorrect. Current affairs also and quite important also. Of course, here curiosity comes in that who is this person, Mr. Ranjit Singh? Yes, that is your homework. Do that. Do read about this individual, quite prominent civil servant. He was also instrumental in that. Who was? Yes, I hope none of you have got it incorrect. Current affairs also and quite sin. Yes, 2024. Specific, this type of question, right to privacy, has been repeated a couple of times. And because it violates the rights under Article 14 and 21, right to equality and right to live a dignified life. Yes, I hope none of you have got it incorrect. Current affairs also and quite important also. Of course, here curiosity comes in that who is this person, Mr. Ranjit Singh? Yes, that is your homework. Do that. Do read about this individual, quite prominent civil servant. He was also instrumental in shaping various environmental laws, Environment Protection Act, etc. He came from a nobility blood background, etc. Do read about him. All right, see the right answer here. Talking about interstate council again, constitutional body or non-constitutional body, statutory body or executive body. Yes, all these questions should pop up in your mind, right? This was established by the president and he's the one who will be ensuring that what should be the composition, what should be the service conditions, etc. Yes, let's have a look at the statements one by one when we are talking about the ex officio chairman for ISC, that is the prime minister, not the home minister. At times it appears, yes, home minister is chairman of CERT council, that is the zonal council, not interstate council. Yes, so first one is incorrect. Chief ministers of all the states are members. You know the composition again. That is also correct. It is an apex body for the adjudication of disputes relating to water. It has nothing to do with water. It is not an adjudicatory body, rather a body for having deliberation, discussion, and a tool for cooperative federalism also. Yes, but not an adjudication body. For that, we have Interstate River Water Disputes Act. So this again is incorrect. The governor, when there is a president rule in any state, the governor shall be representing that state. That again is part of the composition. 2 and 4 are correct. C should be the right answer. Yes, all this again. You might have not have read this, maybe not part of your version of the static book. So just make sure that you are curious what happens in this case, that case. Yes, for example, presidential election, electoral college. Yes, is Jammu Kashmir Assembly, now they are elected also. Now we have MLAs in Jammu Kashmir. Now are they eligible to vote in presidential election or not? Whenever they are going to happen next? Is it part of the article where it is explicitly mentioned that which UTs can participate? Yes, so make sure that you are curious and try to find a solution for these type of questions. Doctrine of constructive possession. So possession is all right. Constructive possession means when you have knowledge about something. For example, you are traveling and you are traveling with something illegal, maybe the alcohol in a dry state, maybe drugs, etc. And you are aware. So that is assume that you are aware if it is found in your car. Yes, for example, you are living in a rented house. Your landlord is not living, but he is not in physical possession, but it is his ownership. Yes, so physical possession is not necessary. Yes, that is doctrine of constructive possession. It is a possession of an item by an individual, even if there is no physical possession, right? You have money in bank, you do not have it in physical format, physical, or it is not tangible right now, but you have it on your behalf. That is your money. You may not have physical possession, but that is your money. B is the right answer here. Do read more about this. Yes. After independence, law commission again. You may not have physical possession, but that is your money. B is the right answer here. Do read more about this. Yes. After independence, law commission again. We have time and again in various cases seen the recommendation of law commissions. Yes, there should be a legislative council or not. What should be the, let's say, the status for UCC? What should be the simultaneous election status, etc.? What are the recommendation it has done over the years? It has been in place before the independence. We have known about the Macaulay Commission. That was a law commission which suggested various IPC, etc. Yes. Now, after independence in 1955, we started with our own law commissions. Is it statutory or not? That is your job to look. Yes. Recently, we established the 23rd Law Commission of India in December 2024. See who was the first chairman of Law Commission of India, who was heading it, who is heading it now, etc. Yes, be curious about these things. Straightforward question, current affairs. Yes, straight pointer. A is the right answer. Now we are talking about vice president. Yes, various dimension of the vice president. Second in the table of presidents. Okay, when we are talking about electoral college, we know that the electoral college of vice president is different from that of the president. In president, we have the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, only the elected members plus the elected members of the state legislative assembly. Here we have both elected and nominated members of the parliament. No state is involved, so this is correct. The 50 days before the independence, there should be you may not have. Yes. After independence, law commission again. We have time and again in various cases seen the recommendation of law commissions. Yes, there should be a legislative council or not. What should be the, let's say, the status for UCC? What should be the simultaneous election status, etc.? What are the recommendation it has done over the years? It has been in place before the independence. We have known about the Macaulay Commission. That was a law commission which suggested various IPC, etc. Yes. Now, after independence in 1955, we started with our own law commissions. Is it statutory or not? That is your job to look. Yes. Yes. Now, after over the years, it has, let's say, the status for UCC. What should be the simultaneous election status, etc. What are the recommendation it has done over the years? It has been in place before the independence. We have known about the Macaulay Commission. That was a law commission which suggested various IPC, etc. Yes. Now, after independence in 1955, we started with our own law commissions. Is it statutory or not? That is your job to look. Yes. Recently, we established the 23rd Law Commission of India in December 2024. See who was the first chairman of Law Commission of India, who was heading it, who is heading it now, etc. Yes, be curious about these things. Straightforward question, current affairs. Yes, straight pointer. A is the right answer. Now we are talking about vice president. Yes, various dimension of the vice president. Second in the table of, yes, straight pointer. A is the right answer. Now we are talking about vice president. Yes, various dimension of the vice president. Second in the table of presidents. Okay, when we are talking about electoral college, we know that the electoral college of vice president is different from that of the president. In president, we have the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, only the elected members plus the elected members of the state legislative assembly. Here we have both elected and nominated members of the parliament. No state is involved, so this is correct. Vice president can only be removed. When we are talking about removal, we know that the constitution says that in Rajya Sabha, the resolution must be passed by majority of all the then members. All the then members means effective majority. Yes, that is done for speaker also. So it is not special majority. It is the effective majority. This is incorrect. That should be agreed upon by the Lok Sabha. Act as the president in the event of vacancy. Now, when we are talking about vacancy, it can be due to resignation. It can be due to death, etc. Yes. Now, whenever there is a vacancy, the vice president under Article 65 has been empowered to act as the president. He becomes the acting president. And when you read it with Article 62, it provides a timeline for 6 months. Whenever there is a vacancy, it should be filled within 6 months. So acting president is there for 6 months. Yes, so the statement is again correct. Now the last statement says, unlike the vice president of USA, Indian vice president does not succeed when the office of president falls vacant. Yes, this is again not succeed. This is also correct. So we have 1, 3, and 4 as correct. C would be the right answer here. Yes. Over there, what happens? For example, when there was a lot of talk in USA, when Joe Biden was there that he's quite ill, etc., then Kamala Harris might take over the presidency and she'll be taking over only for the remaining term. That is the criteria in US. But here, he does not become the president, but he acts as the president. He might take part in the election later, within the 6 months. He might become the president later. But when he is not elected, he only acts as the president. Right? Simple. C is the right answer. Moving forward, etc. Yes. Over there, what happens? For example, right? of USA, Indian vice president, does not succeed when the office of president falls vacant. Yes, this is again not succeed. This is also correct. So we have 1, 3, and 4 as correct. C would be the right answer here. Yes. Over there, what happens? For example, when there was a lot of talk in USA, when Joe Biden was there that he's quite ill, etc., then Kamala Harris might take over the presidency and she'll be taking over only for the remaining term. That is the criteria in US. But here, he does not become the president, but he acts as the president. He might take part in the election later, within the 6 months. He might become the president later. But when he is not elected, he only acts as the president. Right? Simple. C is the right answer. Moving forward, when we are talking about, there are different bodies, constitutional bodies itself, and it is looking for that they are barred to hold any office under the government. C, but take part in the, he's quite answer here. So again, not succeed. This is also correct. So we have 1, 3, and 4 as correct. C would be the right answer here. Yes. Over there, what happens? For example, when there was a lot of talk in USA, when Joe Biden was there that he's quite ill, etc., then Kamala Harris might take over the presidency and she'll be taking over only for the remaining term. That is the criteria in US. But here, he does not become the president, but he acts as the president. He might take part in the election later, within the 6 months. He might become the president later. But when he is not elected, he only acts as the president. Right? Simple. C is the right answer. Moving forward, when we are talking about, there are different bodies, constitutional bodies itself, and it is looking for that they are barred to hold any office under the government. That means they cannot be appointed any further under the state. And it is saying that it has been done by the constitution, where the constitution is barring explicitly. Yes, let's have a look at the offices one by one. When we are talking about UPSC, it has been barred for further employment under the state under Article 319 explicitly. It has been prohibition. The title itself says the prohibition on further employment. There are certain criteria for members, etc., but chairman can no more be appointed. When we are talking about CEC, it has nothing to do with the constitution in case of no further employment. Yes, so it has no explicit barring. Then CAG again under Article 148. If you read these articles explicitly, it will be easier for you to attempt such questions. Yes, because by understanding it appears at time that, okay, I'm getting this, I'm understanding this, but when it comes to objectively go for true and false, objectively go for MCQs, it becomes challenging for us. So make sure that you are referring to the articles. If not done yet, make sure that in the first revision itself, you should be doing that. 1 and 3, B would be the right answer here. Then we are talking 1 and 3, B would be the right answer here. Then we are talking about lapsing of bill, quite a confusing topic at times for people because people may not simplify it for themselves. Yes, it is not just about reading points and retaining it and maybe getting it correct in a couple of tests and getting it wrong in a couple of tests or exam itself. So make sure that you are simplifying it for yourself. When we are talking about lapsing of bills, it has been provided for Parliament under 107 and for state legislature under 196. Yes, adding 89. Yes, all right. So when we are talking about state legislative assembly, there is legislative council and there is legislative assembly. One straightforward rule is whenever it is directly associated with assembly and the assembly dissolves, then it lapses. When it has not touched upon it, then it does not lapse. So whenever it is, let me change the color, lapse, assembly forward legislative council and there is legislative assembly. One straightforward rule is whenever it is directly associated with assembly and the assembly dissolves, then it lapses. When it has not touched upon it, then it does not lapse. So whenever it is, let me change the color. Okay, whenever it is in the house itself, it will lapse. Whenever it is passed and goes to legislative council, it will again lapse. Whenever legislative council is passed and it is pending in legislative assembly, it will lapse. It will not lapse in the case it is with legislative council and it has not been passed but pending in legislative council itself. Yes. So again, this will continue, not lapse. Yes. When it is lying with the president, if at all governor has sent it for reconsideration or lying with the governor, then it will not lapse. Yes. So these are certain dimensions you should be simplifying it for yourself. Every time remember this diagram or maybe diagram in your own format, but simplify it. Do not get confused. Do not try to retain extended pictorial memory of text. Yes. Let's have a look at these statements. The first statement says, and we are looking for lapsing. A bill pending in legislative assembly, it will lapse. Yes. When it is dissolved. A bill reserved by the governor for president consideration, it will not lapse. Clarity. A bill passed by legislative assembly but pending in legislative council, it will again lapse. So this will again lapse. A bill pending in council and not yet passed by the state assembly, again, it will not lapse. Yes. So we have, again, just a second, a bill pending in state legislative council and not yet passed by the state legislative assembly. Just a second. A bill pending in state legislative council and not yet passed by the assembly. Again, this is the case, it will not lapse. So at times it becomes confusing. Make sure that you are simplifying it and retaining it. And not yet passed by the assembly. Again, this is the case, it will not lapse. So at times it becomes confusing, make sure that you are simplifying it and retaining it. 1 and 3, C would be the right answer. Yes, simplify it for extended period of retention. All right, then we are talking about National Security Guard. When we are talking about National Security Guard, we know that this body was established in the aftermath of the assassination of Miss Indira Gandhi. Yes, it was a statutory, or it is a statutory body, National Security Guard Act. Yes, and the objective was to counter terrorism and prevent or anti-hijacking. That was the major objective. Yes, it was in news recently because NSG was taken away from the security of the private citizens, of the VIPs, etc. Yes. Okay, it was established under UAPA. No, this is incorrect. Part of CAPF again. This is absolutely correct. It is part of CAPF. I would like you to go ahead and read about CAPF, not just a Wikipedia page, but maybe some extended, maybe 1-2 page write up about different organizations, different institutions under it, and where, how do they function, under which administrative control they are in, etc. When were they established? What were the objective, etc. All right. It is under administrative control of MHA, not Ministry of Defense. So we have only 2 as correct. Okay, we have 2 more options. All personnel in NSG are drawn exclusively from 3 armed forces. There are 2 groups: Special Action Group and Special Ranger Group. Action Group solely drawn from the army, and Ranger Group has combination of personnel from CAPF plus police. So it has nothing to do exclusively from armed forces. So this is again incorrect. This is also incorrect. First one is also incorrect. 5th, the government has recently ordered to withdraw NSG from VIP security, and they have put in CRPF now. Yes, and so that what was the objective? To ensure that they are focusing on their primary objective, that is to prevent terrorism and anti-hijacking. 2 and 5, C would be the right answer here. Yes, okay. Going ahead, talking about CAG. Yes, constitutional body under Article 148. Yes, okay. Going ahead, talking about CAG. Yes, constitutional body under Article 148. And one of the most important offices under the Constitution. Yes, let's have a look at these 4 statements. Appointed by the President under warrant, under his hand and seal. Absolutely correct. So appointing by the President and appointing by the President by a warrant under his hand and seal. What is the difference? First of all, the biggest and simplest difference is explicitly written in the Constitution. Go and search what are the officers which need this warrant under his hand and seal. Not all officers are appointed by the President by a warrant under his hand and seal. Yes, that means they cannot provide for another person or provide or empower another person to appoint an individual on their behalf. Yes, this can only be done by the President if there is a warrant under his hand and seal, right? So this is a true statement. Before entering office, CAG is required to take an oath as prescribed in the 3rd schedule. Again, if you have read the 3rd schedule specifically, you would know what offices are there. And I would want you, that is again your homework, see what type of oaths are there. What types of oaths are there beyond 3rd schedule in the main text of the Constitution? For example, the oath of the President is not in 3rd schedule, but in the main text, oath of Vice President, oath of the Governor. Yes, 3rd schedule talk about other offices like the office of MP, the candidate, the CAG, the judges. Yes, ministers, oath of secrecy, etc. So all this is mentioned or not, that is your homework. Do read about 3rd schedule. Okay, explicitly given in the 3rd schedule, yes, he should be taking the oath. So 1 and 2 are correct. 3rd statement, responsible for compiling and maintaining accounts of central government. This was true to a certain extent till 1976, when an amendment was brought in and CAG was given the sole responsibility of auditing, and the accounting was taken away from him. So this is no more true. Yes, 1 and 2 are correct. 4th is administrative expenses charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. Yes, absolutely correct. Where is it given? In the annual financial statement, Article 112, which talks about the expenditure that is charged. But that is not enough. There are offices which are not mentioned but are charged. For example, the UPSC is not mentioned under Article 112, but is charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India under Article 322, if you see. But CAG has been explicitly mentioned here also, but in his core Article 148 also. All right, so we have 1, 2, and 4 as correct. D would be the right answer here. Yes, moving forward, talking about FRBM Act of 2003. The objective of this act was to give certain targets to center and state to keep the fiscal deficit within particular limit, etc. But was also to ensure that with annual financial statement, that is the budget, we ensure that there is transparency in the fiscal management of the country. Yes, for that, it was ensured that we are providing certain statements, laying down certain statement in front of the house, that is the miniature of the nation, for scrutiny, that what are the objectives also, what has been achieved, etc. Yes, so all 4 statements are laid down in the parliament with the budget under this act. Now, what are these statements? When we are talking about medium term fiscal policy statement, that talks about medium term means forthcoming years, maybe 2-3 years. It talks about the targets, how to achieve those targets has been discussed in medium term expenditure, how you will be spending. Yes, so that is the strategic roadmap. When we are talking about fiscal policy, this is not about medium term or long term, etc. It is talking about policy statement right now, that what are your policies and what are your priorities, how are you spending. Yes, you should be laying down that in front of the parliament. Macroeconomic framework statement, that means what are your macroeconomic indicators, key performance indicators, macroeconomic indicators, like how are you doing in GDP, GVA, how are you doing in balance of payment, etc. You should be laying down that in front of the nation. Yes, so these are 4 statements which come with the budget. Yes, you would have followed it. Have a look at present statements. Okay, B is the right answer. Moving forward, 23rd question. Now, we know that straightforward question. Parliamentary Committee on Official Language. It was not part of the Constitution, but was set up under the OLA Act. Yes, Official Language Act of 1963. Under Section 4, it provided that there will be a Parliamentary Committee on Official Language, which will be reviewing the progress. So B is the straightforward answer. 8 schedule again. Section 4, it provided that there will be a Parliamentary Committee on Official Language, which will be reviewing the progress. So B is the straightforward answer. 8 schedule again. Factual question. We know that there were certain languages which were later added by various amendments under 8 schedule. 21st amendment added certain, then 71st also added certain, but it is asking about the 92nd amendment. Yes, we know that adding these, etc. What happened? So straightforward question, you can remember DBMS. Those are coming from IT. They know what database management system is. So this is the short form of the languages which was added by the 92nd amendment. That is Dogri, Bodo, Maithili, and Santhali. Yes. So not Sindhi, but Dogri, not Konkani, but Maithili, not Rajasthani. Rajasthani is still not the part, right? 2 and 4 are correct. C would be the right answer. Do read more about it. Is English a part of it or not? Where are these languages when we are talking about, let's say, Dogri, where is it spoken? Santhali, where is it spoken? Why it has been part here, etc. Do read about other languages which are classical languages. What is the qualification? Recently, there has been changes also, right? Do read about it. Talking about ordinances again. Article 123 for Union, the Parliament. Okay. Now, in which of these cases the President can promulgate ordinance? So, it is an extraordinary power which has been vested in the executive. The legislative is a legislative power to make a law on the subjects under which the Parliament have the power to make a law. Yes, and this is a temporary provision which is provided for certain 6 weeks only, and it will lapse if not, whenever the Parliament, whenever the houses reassemble, if they do not approve it, it lapses. Yes, so they might have to, if at all, go ahead for repromulgation, etc. So what are the dimensions it can promulgate? The President can promulgate ordinances. The first one is there is no need, because we know that it was promulgated once, I think around a decade back, 1615, wherein this particular act was by the Supreme Court. Certain restrictions were put, but due to political reasons and also due to the atrocities, etc. And of course, there were protests from these communities to ensure that whatever the act, whatever the provisions, whatever the punishment, harsh punishment was there, that should be reinstated. And that was done again through ordinance and later approved by the Parliament. So ordinance can be and has been utilized to amend this. Then a bill related to withdrawal of money out of consolidated fund of India. When we are talking about withdrawal, what is the difference between withdrawal and appropriation? Appropriation is setting aside a particular amount with a purpose. Withdrawal is withdrawing that. Yes. So when we are talking about withdrawing, then we know that this is under the definition of money bill under Article 110. Yes. And money bill can also 110. Then we are talking about due to the Supreme, it was element when the power, it is an extraordinary about it. Talking about ordinances, what is the qualification? Recently there has been for Union, the Parliament. Okay. Now, in which of these cases the President can promulgate ordinance? So it is an extraordinary power which has been vested in the executive. The legislative is a legislative power to make a law on the subjects under which the Parliament have the power to make a law. Yes, and this is a temporary provision which is provided for certain 6 weeks only, and it will lapse if not, whenever the Parliament, whenever the houses reassemble, if they do not approve it, it lapses. Yes, so they might have to, if at all, go ahead for repromulgation, etc. So what are the dimensions it can promulgate? The President can promulgate ordinances. The first one is there is no need, because we know that it was promulgated once, I think around a decade back, 1615, wherein this particular act was by the Supreme Court. Certain restrictions were put, but due to political reasons and also due to the atrocities, etc. And of course, there were protests from these communities to ensure that whatever the act, whatever the provisions, whatever the punishment, harsh punishment was there, that should be reinstated. And that was done again through ordinance and later approved by the Parliament. So ordinance can be and has been utilized to amend this. Then a bill related to withdrawal of money out of consolidated fund of India. When we are talking about withdrawal, what is the difference between withdrawal and appropriation? Appropriation is setting aside a particular amount with a purpose. Withdrawal is withdrawing that. Yes. So when we are talking about withdrawing, then we know that this is under the definition of money bill under Article 110. Yes. And money bill can also be passed as an ordinance. And of course, as written in the article itself, the President must be satisfied that there are certain circumstances which require his immediate intervention or immediate action. Yes, due to which he has to pass this as an ordinance, right? And of course, the Parliament, any house of the Parliament must not be in session to be eligible to do this, right? So money bill can again, withdrawal of money can be done, and this has been done also in case of states. Travancore, Cochin in 1956 was done through a appropriation act, money bill itself. All right, constitutional amendment bill. There are two issues: constitutional amendment bill 1. Secondly, it is related to the changes of the qualification procedure for the appointment of Supreme Court judges. For that, you require the state ratification also. Yes, federal provision needs state ratification. So this is beyond the capacity of the Parliament again. This cannot be done by the President through an ordinance. Retrospectively implement the taxation law within the powers of the Parliament. 1, 3, and 4. C would be the right answer here. Yes. All right. Moving forward. Then we are talking about restrictions. And the question is violation of taxation law within the powers of the Parliament. 1, 3, and 4. Money bill itself. All right, Constitutional Amendment Bill. There are two issues. Constitutional Amendment Bill 1. Secondly, it is related to the changes of the qualification, procedure for the appointment of Supreme Court judges. For that, you require the state ratification also. Yes, federal provision needs state ratification. So this is beyond the capacity of the parliament again. This cannot be done by the president through an ordinance. Retrospectively implement the taxation law within the powers of the parliament. 1, 3, and 4. C would be the right answer here. Yes. All right, moving forward. Then we are talking about restrictions. And the question is violation of right to equality. Which of the above reflects the violation of right to equality? Let's have a look at one by one. Restriction on access to public restaurant on the basis of caste of an individual. If you read Article 15, Clause 2A, it specifically raised that there should not be any restriction if the individual wants to access shops, public restaurants, hotels, places of entertainment, explicitly written in the Constitution. So this is definitely a violation of right to equality. Curtailing movements of an individual. When we are talking about curtailing movements, it is related to right to freedom, specifically right to freedom. Interest of general public, it is again maybe not the even violation of right to freedom, because 19(5) talks about reasonable restrictions. That includes there can be restriction related in the for the interest of the general public. One, secondly, to protect the interest of the STs also. Yes, so but nowhere related to right to equality. So this is incorrect. Persecution of a person for same offense. Again, Article 20, part of right to freedom, not part of right to equality. This is again incorrect. Then acceptance of title by the right to same offense. Again, Article 20, part of right to freedom, not part of right to equality. This is again incorrect. Then acceptance of title by the citizen from any foreign state. That is again a violation under Article 18, and 14 to 18 is right to equality. Straightforward. Ineligibility of an individual for an office under state on the grounds of place of residence. Again, provided explicitly in the Constitution, Article 16. Yes, Clause 3. There can be an exception put across 145. B would be the right answer here. Yes, be curious, try to have some research. And of course, if you have attended this test, seriously or non-seriously, make sure that you are gaining out of it. You have spent 2 hours. Yes, be curious. Yes, try to have some research. And of course, if you have attended this test, seriously or non-seriously, make sure that you are gaining out of it. You have spent 2 hours attempting it. Make sure you are spending more than 2 hours. Whatever is being discussed or whatever is present in the solution sheet, whatever research you want to do, it should add value to your preparation. And do not give test if you are not preparing to go for test analysis. Yes, test analysis is the key. So B is the right answer here. Then we are talking about quorum. Yes, we know that under Article 100, the presiding officer must ensure that there is quorum, that is 1/10 of the members must be present. So then only there can be a sitting. Otherwise, it is the duty. Under Article 100, it is the duty of the presiding officer, speaker or chairman, to ensure that the House is adjourned if there is no quorum or suspended. Yes, quorum is not 1/5 but 1/10. Specifically incorrect. In case of joint sitting, quorum resides in 1/10 to the combined strength of both houses. Where is it written? Is it written in Article 100? Is it written in Article 108, which talks about joint sitting? Rather, it was provided by rules of procedure and conduct of business. Yes, so it was extended to joint sitting also. So this is correct. It is mandatory for the presiding officer to suspend the sitting if there is, until there is quorum. Yes, again, this is also correct. It is the House is 100 for test analysis. Yes, quorum. Yes, we know that under Article 100, the presiding officer must ensure that there is quorum, that is 1/10 of the members must be present. So then only there can be a sitting. Otherwise, it is the duty. Under Article 100, it is the duty of the presiding officer, speaker or chairman, to ensure that the House is adjourned if there is no quorum or suspended. Yes, quorum is not 1/5 but 1/10. Specifically incorrect. In case of joint sitting, quorum resides in 1/10 to the combined strength of both houses. Where is it written? Is it written in Article 100? Is it written in Article 108, which talks about joint sitting? Rather, it was provided by rules of procedure and conduct of business. Yes, so it was extended to joint sitting also. So this is correct. It is mandatory for the presiding officer to suspend the sitting if there is, until there is quorum. Yes, again, this is also correct. As I just talked about, Article 100 specifically given. Rules regarding quorum are not applicable to committees of the parliament. This is problematic. Not applicable again. This was extended through rules of procedure and conduct of business. This was expanded to the committees also, right? But here the catch is the quorum is not 1/10 but 1/3. Yes, if there are 10 members and 1/10 should be present, that means only one member should be attending the parliamentary committee. That is not required. That is changed to 1/3. So this is incorrect. It is applicable also. 1, 2, and 3 are correct. A would be the right answer here. Yes. Then we are talking about parliamentary secretariat. Yes, that would be the right answer here. Yes. Then we are talking about parliamentary secretariat. Yes. Again, under Article 98, Clause 1 specifically talks about that each house should have a secretarial staff, and that can be common also. Yes, each house should have it. Secondly, it is the duty of the parliament. It is on to parliament to regulate that staff, their recruitment, their condition of service, etc., salary and allowances. Yes, let's have a look. Presiding officer is empowered to regulate the recruitment. Rather, the parliament itself regulates it. Secretary General appointed by the president. It is appointed by the presiding officer. So this is again incorrect. Salaries and allowances of secretarial staff are charged upon Consolidated Fund of India. That is not charged, not part of the, not written anywhere, but are part of the budget approved and voted by the parliament. So none of the statement is correct. Make sure that it is looking for correct or incorrect. Yes, so D is the right answer here. Then we are talking about BRICS. We know that a lot of expansion has happened in BRICS, and that is the reason it has become point of discussion after the presidential election in US. Yes, he was declaring that Spain is also part of BRICS incorrectly. Yes, we know the history of BRICS, and we are looking for members. In 2006, it was established as BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Then in 2010, 11, it was expanded to South Africa also, and it became BRICS. Yes, later in 2023, it was proposed that several countries, including Argentina, would be joining it. Go map as Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, all would be joining. But Argentina declined, and the other 5 joined in start of 2024. Yes, then in 2025, couple of weeks back, month back, Indonesia also joined. Yes, so now we have 11 members total. So we have not Argentina, but Egypt, not Turkey, but Ethiopia, and not Vietnam. So we have 2 and 4 is correct. A would be the right answer here. Do have a look at what are the objectives, historical, and what are different initiatives by it. That will add, and mapping with mapping, you are done with IR. Yes, moving ahead. Country and reasons. This was the type of question asked by UPSC earlier, a couple of years back. Yes, loss of mineral-rich territories to rebel group. This has been happening in Democratic Republic of Congo, not in Burkina Faso. It is a little technical to remember, but of course, if you have been referring, if you have been checking the maps to retain it for extended period, you should be able to answer such questions. Then declaration of state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, that has been done. Yes, and it is the reason has been due to increase in the criminal activity. Then CryptoGate, again, we have seen in the newspaper regularly. CryptoGate has been related to Argentina. Yes, meme coin corruption scandal. Yes, okay, 2, 3, and 2 and 3 are correct. A would be the right. No, B would be the right answer. Yes. Then we are talking about Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. We know that recently, when the G20 summit happened, we know that we hosted the 2023 summit. In 2024, it was hosted by Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, 19th summit. So this institution or this body was established with the objective of ensuring that we are eliminating poverty and hunger and malnutrition. And the target has been in sync with the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. Yes. And it works on the collaboration perspective. It has members from the government. It has members from the private sector. It has members from the civil society. It has members from the international organizations also. Yes. It was launched on the plenary of FAO, no. And India has been members, and its membership is not limited to G20 only. It has been open to all. It has, I think, many members have recently joined also. Aim to create world free of hunger, 2030, yes. And it has been open to non-sovereign nations. Bodies like EU, AU, African Union, European Union, they have also joined in. So we have 2, 3, and 4 is correct. Just a second. Let me confirm this. Question number is 13.9. Okay, this is a stupid error. Make sure that you are not making stupid errors. Again, only the sovereign, not only, but other members, as I discussed, EU and AU also joined. So this is incorrect. We have 2 and 3 as correct. Yes, make sure that you are also not in a hurry. Take a pause whenever you are marking the answers and see if there has been an error you have made. Luckily, there was no option which was talking about 2, 3, 4. Otherwise, we would have moved ahead and it becomes problem. Negative marking for me. Yes. Okay. C option. We are talking about Philadelphia corridor. Quite a lot in news for past couple of years now. We know that it is between the Gaza Strip of Palestine and the Egypt. Yes, this is the Philadelphia corridor. Yes. Why it has been in news? Because this is the network of tunnels or a maze of tunnel has been found between Egypt and Gaza, the Palestine area. Yes, they have been, Hamas has been utilizing it for infiltration, for supplying weapons, drugs, etc. Then it also hosts the Rafah border, which we have been talking about. It is not the full Rafah border, but this point is known as the Rafah border. Yes. So we have narrow strip between Palestine and Egypt. B is the right answer here. Then we are talking about drug trafficking region and associated countries. Triple frontier area. If you have been reading current affairs, you'll be able to identify these terms also. If you're listening it for the first time, try to note it down. Triple frontier area is between Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. Yes, not between these 3. So this is incorrect. Golden Triangle, we know that it is in the eastern part of the country. That includes Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and also Vietnam also becomes a part of Golden Triangle. So this is again incorrect. Golden Crescent is Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran. All 3 are incorrect. We have none as correct. This is the right answer here. Yes. Then Golden Argentina and Paraguay. Yes, not between these 3. So this is incorrect. Golden Triangle, we know that it is in the eastern part of the country. That includes Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and also Vietnam also becomes a part of Golden Triangle. So this is again incorrect. Golden Crescent is Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran. All three are incorrect. We have none as correct. This is the right answer here. Yes. Then Galkinch gas field, crucial for India's energy security. It has explicitly mentioned India's energy security, and we know that it does not appear that it is related to India or present in India. When we are talking about energy security, you should have thought about Tapi pipeline also. And this is the gas field from which we are planning to source the gas. That is the Galkinch gas field in Turkmenistan, to Afghanistan, to Pakistan, to India. Yes, that is TAPA, Tapi. In Afghanistan, we have Herat. In Afghanistan, we also have another one more cities there through which it is passing. Do have a look at it. It starts with K something, right? Pakistan, it has Quetta and Multan. In India, it is coming at Fazilka, right? So have a look at the maps also at time, and it is under Turkmenistan region. All right. So that was about polity and IRO. I hope you had a fine discussion, and go slow, but go ensure that whatever you are reading, you are able to retain it for extended period. All the very best. Thank you. Lapses. Yes, so they might have to, if at all. Homework, do that. Do read about this individual quite. So D is the, or it is not tangible. Oath of secrecy, etc. So all this is mentioned or not, that is your homework. Do read about third schedule. Okay, explicitly given in the third schedule, yes, he should be taking the oath. So 1 and 2 are correct. Third statement, responsible for compiling and maintaining accounts of central government. This was true to a certain extent till 1976, when an amendment was brought in and CAG was given the sole responsibility of appropriation. Now, etc. Yes, be curious about why it is important to refer to the bare.
मुद्दा को उठाई फिर
Just consider the question.
MNF, Mizo National Front, Lal Denga. He became the yes, that recently when the G20 summit happened.
Have 5 metrics.
Groups, special to protect the interest of the STs also. Yes, so static book. So just make sure that you are curious.
Question number 84.